Hi, gang. It's Patrick.
And JT.
Coming up on today's episode, we take one more look back at the Disney year that was and share our hopes and dreams for 2023. As always, we discuss the latest Disney news and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
JT, old acquaintance Landry.
Patrick, Father Time, Kazaki.
Just bringing in the new year with a read. The library is open in the new year.
Mm-hmm. Reading is the theme of 2023.
That's right. 2023, I mean 2020 me. Happy New Year,
yes,
everybody.
23 and me.
Find your ancestors this year, everybody.
Yes. D23 and me.
Ooh, I like it. They
Yeah.
they should be doing something huge this year for D23,
I know, right?
I think. It's so fascinating. Maybe I'm the only one because I'm not as quick as everyone else is, but we're recording this before the new year, but this is our new year episode because this will come out literally on the 1st of January, 2023.
Yeah, we're coming to all the Tweedles from 2023. We've seen it. We know what's happening.
Wait, I think you're backwards. We're coming to it from 2022. We don't have
Wait a
foresight
minute.
yet.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm not the only slow one here on the
All
podcast.
right. Yeah. It's the end of the year. It's like the week between Christmas and New Year's when no one knows what's going on.
No.
I don't know what end is up.
No, if it's not in a crock pot, I don't know what's happening.
Yes. Wear your pajamas, eat cookies for all 3 meals of the day. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
100%.
matter.
It's very Regina George. These are all that fits me right now, kind of a year.
Yes.
And so
these sweatpants are all that fit me right now.
well, though your plans have already happened, knock on wood, what are your plans for New Year's Eve, New Year's Day?
I don't have any, Patrick.
Excellent.
You know what I think I've learned about myself is that I really am not a big New Year's Eve person.
Okay.
I think, I've done different things. Back in my youth, part one of my youth, because I'm still in my youth. I would do like the dancing, go out to a club or something. And then as I grew older, it was like go out to dinner. But then it was like, it's just, I don't know why. Like, why? It's like, I get why people enjoy it. It's just not my thing. I prefer to be in bed by midnight.
Fair.
What about you? Since I have a very boring answer.
No, not at all. Kind of the same for me, actually. I've never really been, I did it a couple times and it was like, this wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be for parties on New Year's Eve. We do have a tradition of going to, I have some friends who live relatively close to me and we'll go over there and just have appetizers and play some board games and call it a day.
I love it.
Mm-hmm,
some apps, some snaps.
That's right. We break out the Snap Cup and the App Cup, and it's amazing.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. I will probably be in bed, watching something or,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that journey for you.
Thank you.
Exit the year as you would want to live the rest of your years.
Bed.
In bed, relaxing and watching old black and white movies.
Yes, with some food in bed or something like that. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, get that pizza in bed. Do it.
But Patrick, we both have to kind of rest because we're both going to be in Walter Disney World very soon.
It's true. The first trip of the new year is upon us. I'll be there for marathon weekend, my first ever marathon and Run Disney marathon. And then you'll be there just as I'm leaving almost, right?
We will literally pass each other outside of security at MCO. No, that's not true. I think we have a full day that overlaps.
Oh, perfect. Okay, there you go.
Yes, because I arrive very early on the morning of the last day of marathon weekend.
Okay, got it.
You will literally be running through the streets of I don't know. You'll be running down, I don't know, Bronson Parkway.
Sure.
as my plane is like coming in for a landing. If Southwest gets their act together by then.
Well, let's not make too many wishes in the new year.
That's true. Let's set expectations at a reasonable limit. But yeah, so we'll overlap a little bit.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I will be there that whole week after marathon weekend, literally from Sunday to Sunday. So if anybody is going to be there, reach out.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand.
Okay.
I like it. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see you. Hopefully we get to see Ryan while we're there. I'm excited for the Run Disney event. Yeah. And when we come back, we'll have a full episode, a trip recap. Hopefully we can get our act together and maybe get you and I on that episode together and do a recap. Who can say? I'm not really sure. You might still be in Florida by the time we're recording that episode, though, because podcasting, no one knows how it works.
I will call in live.
There you go.
From Liberty Square.
Perfect. Yeah, that'll be an absolute nightmare to cancel that noise out. But this is what we do. This is what we do for all of you.
That's right.
All of you. Speaking of all of our tweedles, we are kicking off the new year with a brand new Patreon member, JT. Very exciting.
I love it.
I love it as well. Miriam has joined the ranks. I have to make a confession. Miriam actually joined a couple of weeks back, but I think Miriam joined just as we were recording the next episode, and so we missed it. And so we are celebrating Miriam today and all year long, just like all of our other Patreon members.
It's almost like Miriam is like, you know how hospitals always celebrate the first baby of the new year? Like, it's like Miriam is our first... She's our New Year Patreon.
Yes.
I don't want to call her a baby because she's probably a very sophisticated grown person. But she's like our first of 2023.
I love it. Miriam, you are very special for a plethora of reasons, but specifically because we are announcing you on the very first episode of 2023. So thank you for joining our ranks. Let's go through the spiel, shall we? Of course, everyone knows it by now. If you don't know, now you know. We do, in fact, have a Patreon page over at gazetothedeed.com. Click on that donate button for as little as $1 reoccurring a month. You too can join the ranks of our Patreon members, which we have been slacking on a little bit lately. More to come. We have lots of ideas. We just haven't implemented them yet. You should see our group chat. It's full of ideas. We just haven't brought any of them forward yet.
None of them have been executed.
No, not yet. Not as of yet. But you will be inundated with things for the new year, like Zoom parties specifically for our Patreon members, Patreon-only giveaways, episodes of Gaze to the D Raw and Uncut. It's a brand new day, everybody. It's a great time to become a Patreon member.
It is. It's the thought that counts. And you know, when you said for as little as $1 a day, in my head I had Sarah McLachlan singing "In the Arms of an Angel."
Yes. Images of rescued puppies.
Yes.
You know, rescue us. We are the puppies that need rescuing.
Rescue Disney gays.
I love it. Well, thank you, Miriam, and thank you to all of our current Patreon members and our Patreon members to be. I know there's a few of you out there who have not yet clicked that button, and we hope that you do so, because all of the money goes directly to Gaze to the D to host some of these parties, to go into boring things like platform hosting and buying microphones. So it is all needed, and then we can bring our amazing voices, you know, our amazing liquid voices to the masses for free.
Deep into the canals of your ears.
That's right.
Penetrating your eardrums.
Oh no. It's getting worse. It's getting worse.
It's getting bad. Yeah.
Bail out of it. Bail out, everybody.
Abort.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's move on to some listener feedback from our last episode, JT. Do you wanna kick us into that?
I would love to. We have some feedback from at the Disney Parks Teacher. We love at the Disney Parks Teacher.
We sure do.
He says, "Hi boys, I just listened to your last episode, and I also was one of the 23 people who saw Strange World in theaters. I was thinking about how Kale and Patrick were talking about how poorly it was marketed, and that really didn't align. I feel like I've seen a bunch of ads online and on TV. It struck me that the difference might be that I live in NYC. Given the gay interracial relationship that happens so openly, I wonder if Disney marketed the film more in more liberal areas. I hope that's not the case. Kids in rural America need that kind of representation just as much, if not more, than kids here do. But it might be a theory to explain the difference.
Interesting. Well, okay, so let's explore this.
Yeah.
Was it marketed very much where you are?
Not really. I mean, honestly, the only ads that I saw for it were specific like sites that I go to, like entertainment sites that might, have advertisements on them. And just because, it's hard to gauge when you're kind of in the Disney universe on a regular basis and you're seeing the ads. I will say
Fair.
In the real world, I did not see as much for it as I maybe did for like Encanto or, Soul even, or, Frozen 2. So I can see, I think it's an interesting theory that it might have been more heavily marketed like in bigger cities. What about you, Patrick? In like you're in Minneapolis, like you're in the Midwest.
I am in the Midwest. Yeah, Minneapolis is a pretty big city and a pretty big market and a very liberal city as well. And I didn't anyway see a lot of marketing for it. Though I will say, well, I did see a lot of marketing for Black Panther and a lot of marketing for Avatar.
Yes.
So it's hard to know. It's an interesting theory that you bring up.
It is, and I think it's just I don't think it was as heavily marketed everywhere as Avatar and Black Panther 2 were. And I don't think it helped that Black Panther came out so close to it. And I mean, they only have so many marketing dollars, company wide, I guess. But it is an interesting theory. I do agree with what he said. I mean, kids, need to see that kind of representation, arguably in the middle of the country, even more than they need to be exposed to it in bigger, more liberal areas, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an interesting theory. Hopefully it's an incorrect theory, but it is an interesting theory to bring up nonetheless. So interesting. Yeah, let us know out there if you did you see a lot of marketing where you're from and where are you from, and let's get to the bottom of this, shall we? Let's figure it out here on Gaze to the D. Investigative journalism.
And were you one of the other 23 people that saw it in theaters?
I know. I still haven't seen it yet. It's on Disney Plus now. I'm terrible. I'm a bad gay. We will be watching it. We will be reporting on it. Don't worry. Yeah. It's to come. There's a lot going on, y'all. There's a lot going on out there.
Maybe that's what I'll watch in bed tomorrow night.
There you go.
Order
some Taco Bell and watch.
Oh my God.
Strange World.
A couple of Gordita Crunches and maybe a Mexican pizza.
Taco Bell always sounds at once so good and also so terrible at the same time.
Yes.
Like it's got that market on absolute disgust and absolute joy at the same time.
Like all the best things in life do.
Yeah, I like to describe myself that way sometimes. It's just real joyful disgust.
You and Taco Bell.
Me and Taco Bell. And the movie Inside Out.
Yes.
It's all the things.
Oh, gosh.
All the things. Oh, dear. Well, let's move on to my new favorite part of the show is the I'm celebrating portion, where all of you have sent us in what you're celebrating this week. I'm very excited. We got some really good ones. We always get good ones. I shouldn't say this time around, but we, as per usual, have some great things to celebrate. I'll kick us off here with @ADV Parker saying, finally moving in with my fiance after 2 years of living in different cities.
Wow.
My goodness. Congratulations.
Yes. Congratulations on making a long-distance relationship work.
I know. Maybe you need to come on the show and tell us how you did that.
Yeah, send in your tips and tricks.
Yeah.
@Damien Daz is celebrating being single and embarking on a self-care journey. You know what? Ooh. Kudos. This, I think, is great. It's important. It is okay to be single. Mm-hmm. It is okay. It is even celebratory, like we are doing now, to be single.
I mean, listen, it's better to be single than to be in a relationship that you do not want to be in or is just not what the relationship is anymore. So congratulations on self-care journey.
Yes, love that journey for you.
Love that journey for you. Moving on @Stefan in Paradise saying, moving to DC with my fiance and starting a new job after I crush Dopey. when I first read that sentence, I was like, why are you beating up Dopey? Why are you crushing him? But I understand now that he's in reference to the Run Disney event,
Yes.
crushing Dopey.
Yes.
Well, congratulations. Another fiance. Y'all getting married this
my gosh,
year.
yeah.
I like
Amazing. All these tweedles, just finding love and...
Finding love. Hopefully here on the podcast. That's how they found each other.
Right, yes. So happy for all of you. Okay. At Magical Travels with Randy is celebrating getting out of COVID quarantine. That is definitely
Ooh.
something to celebrate.
Yes.
Love it. Hope you're doing something fun to get when you're getting out of quarantine.
That's right.
Yeah. Get into a really crowded place. Just enjoy it because...
What a... Wait, nope, we can't endorse that. I'm not endorsing that. But I find someone who is vaccinated and just make out with them with consent.
Oh, Patrick, that's a better idea.
That's right.
Do Patrick's thing.
And soon you will have a fiance to celebrate on I'm celebrating. Moving on, we have at iMicrophone saying Roger's 42nd birthday. Happy birthday, Roger.
Happy birthday, Roger. To one of the 3 Steamboat Willies there.
That's right.
At Irving Vergen. Now, Irving was on our, if you remember, Patrick, Irving was on our Halloween Patreon Zoom party.
That's right. That's right. Irving has been a Patreon member for a while now.
And Irving is celebrating 10 years. That is a decade with his amazing partner, Jeff. Hashtag Grinder worked for me.
Hey-o, I like it.
Yes. Good for you. Yes, Grinder is there also for relationships.
That's right.
Hasn't worked for me, but I'm so glad that it has worked for you.
Yet.
Yes. You know what? You know what? Positive thinking in 2023.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And you know, what is define working for you? Like, are you having a good time out there, JT? If so, then everything is working just right.
You know what? Maybe it is working for me. And we'll leave it there.
Sometimes the system works exactly how it should work.
This is true.
We're going to leave it there and move on with at Mark Runs Disney saying Run Disney Marathon Weekend, Dopey Challenge, oh my goodness, and my partner's birthday on the 7th and mine on the 8th. That's a lot to celebrate. 2 birthdays, the Dopey Challenge and the Run Disney Marathon Weekend. I love it.
All at the same time.
All at the same time. Happy birthday, Mark and Justin. I happen to know your partner's name is Justin. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yes,
or this
please.
week if you're listening right now. Again, podcasting time, it's a whole time warp.
Yeah, it's a construct. Let's see. At Rainbow Mickey Runner is celebrating heading off to Orlando for my first Dopey challenge.
I love it.
Another Dopey crusher. Dopey's really getting annihilated this weekend.
Dopey's getting slammed.
Just absolutely slammed. Wow.
We're going to get canceled. So we can move on. At Andy Heath Puppeteer. Hi, Andy. Saying, me and my fella are off to Disneyland Paris for New Year's Eve. Amazing. We hope you had a wonderful time.
Andy, if your suitcase is about 155 pounds heavier, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll pay for it when I get off the plane.
I love it.
And finally, last but certainly not least, at Parmesan Cheese is celebrating surviving. And you know what?
I mean,
sometimes that is just all that's what we're celebrating, and that is totally fine. And it is something to celebrate.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Yes.
We join you on that at Parmesan Cheese.
Absolutely.
And hopefully all of you had a wonderful New Year's Eve and are off to a great start in the new year. We are so glad that you're with us. So thank you for continuing into 2023 with Gays Do the D. I didn't even mean that to rhyme, but it did.
And may you not just survive, but thrive.
Ooh, surviving and thriving. I love it. Well, let's move on, JT. We are rolling right along here on the episode into this week in Disney history. Are you ready to get learnt?
I am so ready to get learned. You know, history is one of my favorite subjects. Unlike Kale, this might be my favorite part of the podcast.
You know what? Next time we should split this up and have you look up some things in Disney history, because I'm running out of facts within Disney, and I know you have many more than I do. So next time, noted for next time.
I'm ready. Teach me.
All right, good. Well, starting out with a birthday, JT, 119 years ago, born on January 1st, 1904, Disney legend Grace Bailey was born in Willoughby, Ohio. So Bailey began working in the ink and paint department for Disney Studios in 1932. She moved through the ranks from painting supervisor to inking supervisor and trainer for new artists, and eventually, in 1954, she became head of the entire ink and paint department, where she remained until her retirement in 1972.
Amazing. You know, there's so many stories about the women in Disney animation through the years. And if you want to learn more about Grace and other women, read the book, The Queens of Animation.
Yes.
Great book.
Yes. Absolutely. Highly recommend. And also, why isn't there like a documentary about the women of the ink and paint department? I mean, this would be like a Mad Men situation. You know what I mean?
Yes, a drama, a 1-hour streaming series on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
About the Queens of Animation. Let's make it happen.
I love it. We're pitching it for 2023.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Copyright
All
us.
right. That's right. Well, happy birthday, Grace Bailey. And moving on, also on January 1st, 1888, 135 years ago, Elias Disney married Flora Call in Akron, Florida. The couple, of course, later moved to Chicago, Illinois, and gave birth to one Walter Elias Disney in 1901. Now, though the town of Akron, Florida no longer exists, it was just 40 miles north of where Walt Disney World stands today.
That is wild.
Isn't that crazy? I was like, how has this not been how are we just now talking about this crazy adventure?
I had no idea. That is such a great fact.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. That's very fortuitous.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I love it.
Well, thank goodness they met.
It's true. It's very true. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
We would not be recording this show right now.
We maybe wouldn't be born. Who knows? Who can even say?
I mean,
the world would be very different.
Very true.
Well, congratulations on your nuptials, Elias and Flora. We're still celebrating that marriage today.
Still eating off that frozen cake.
That's right. It's in someone's freezer, I'm sure of it. Probably where Walt's frozen head is as well. It's that and the wedding cake.
That's how the frozen head stays sustained.
Well, he's going to be hungry when he wakes up, you know. So
there'll be a cake right next to his head.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
and with that, we close the vault on this week in Disney history. I don't know how we segue into the news, but let's try it. Next up in the news, they have unthawed Walt's head, and he's currently eating some cake.
That's how they're celebrating Disney's 100th anniversary.
Oh, no. Slap that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Head on into 2023.
Oh, no.
'Twas the week before Christmas, and all through the world, not a creature was stirring. Wait, hold up, girl. When what to my wandering eye should appear but an email from Bob Iger to me. Hold my beer.
Amazing.
You're welcome for that. But the real news story is that, yes, Disney CEO Bob Iger says there has never been a better time to be a Disney fan. If you are a D23 member and happen to open up your email the week before Christmas, you probably saw a note from Bob Iger to you. Patrick, did you get one of these?
I sure did.
Yes.
I sure did.
This was a holiday email that was sent to Disney's D23 members, and I think it was to all D23 members. I don't think you had to be a gold member to get this letter from Bob Iger. If you're a gold member, he actually came to your house and sat down on your couch and made out with you after he shared this message.
Yeah.
But the basic gist of this email, it was just him, and this is something that he's made multiple statements since becoming CEO CEO. I think a lot of people would agree that he's realized that 2022 was maybe not the best year to be a Disney fan, and won't go down as one of the best years in Disney history. And he's reached out on a few occasions to make some statements. But in this email to D23 members, he says it is an extraordinary privilege to lead this remarkable company again, and I am so grateful for your continued passion for Disney. He goes on in the letter to talk about, he's seen some things that are ahead, some of the events planned by D23 for Disney's 100th anniversary celebration. He goes on to say that we love your passion for our company and your enthusiasm for what we create, and we will continue to do our best to exceed your highest expectations. And he sort of ended the message saying that looking at all the opportunities ahead, I can honestly say there has never been a better time to be a Disney fan. And on behalf of all of us at the Walt Disney Company, I wish you a wonderful holiday season and a very happy and prosperous new year. I thought this was a great, very smart gesture on his account to do something like this. And it just shows, for me, how connected he is to the Disney legacy, and he understands the importance of it, and how connected he is to the company and the fans, and how connected he is to the creative things that Disney puts out every year, right? I think he understands that, how important all of that is, and I thought it was a nice gesture on his part.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't something that stood out to me as like, I don't know how to put this, it wasn't like a grand gesture by any stretch of the imagination, but it was just something nice to let us know that he's thinking of the fans, and like maybe just doing minor repair here and there. Do you know what I mean?
Just a little minor triage.
Yeah, and much needed as well. So it was just lovely. It wasn't over ostentatious. It wasn't like overly done or whatever. It was just something nice and simple that we haven't seen for a while, not since he has been part of the company, I guess. Tokyo Disney is taking some interesting measures to elevate the guest experience. First up, the theme park recently updated its theme park terms to include purchase of merchandise or souvenir goods for resale purposes as an example of prohibited conduct, or as I like to call it, Tokyo no you better don't. You like that? That was just for you.
Good. Thank you.
Now, how they plan to implement or follow up on this remains to be seen, but it is an interesting acknowledgement that they do see it as a problem. As we all know, resale of specialty items has become a huge business for some people, with sellers purchasing items in bulk and then reselling them online for a huge markup, leaving the casual park guest without an option to purchase. This past year, for example, the infamous Figment popcorn bucket saw an 8-hour line for purchase, and then hours later, these buckets were listed and sold online for up to $1,000 each. Again, it remains to be seen what exactly Tokyo Disney plans to do about all of this, but listing it as prohibited does give them the freedom to act on this by implementing fines or by revoking access to the parks if they are able to catch violators of the rule. JT, thoughts on this?
I think it's a really good move. I have to be honest. That's one of the things that when you see photos or footage of people buying like 10 or 15 of an item and leaving nothing else for people in the parks and then price gouging it online because they know they can make money. To me, it's so anti just everything that I believe.
Yeah.
It's capitalism at its absolute worst. It's just, I don't know. It's just a bad look. And I think them doing this, I mean, in a lot of ways, the Oriental Land Company, that's who owns and runs the Tokyo parks. They're always sort of like thinking ahead and doing some things like this. And I just think it's a smart move. I hope domestically they follow suit. And figure out a way to, curb this kind of behavior, because it's just not good behavior.
Yeah, it's tough though, right? Because I mean, I know that there are a lot of businesses and a lot of small businesses even who do things like mystery box packaging, like Disney mystery boxes, and they go into the parks and they buy some items. Now, are they buying like these crazy Figment popcorn buckets? Probably not. They're getting things that are more that everyone can get, and shipping them off in these boxes. And I don't want to take away from their business, but I also, on the flip side of that, right? There's that experience of being in the parks and like, I want to get this because I'm here in the parks. And if you can't do that because somebody else bought it for someone who's not in the parks, it turns into a slippery slope. So yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what or if the domestic parks will do about it. I know they've implemented sort of the only 2 per person rule for a lot of the items, but that's easily able to get around because you can just have a family member buy 2 as well, or
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm interested to see how this goes and how they're going to track it down.
Yes. Yeah. We'll see.
We will see. So next up, a follow-up to a previous story. Earlier this year, we reported on a new storytelling program within Tokyo Disney called Disney Story Beyond. But we didn't know much more than the title and that the first installment would be added to the Haunted Mansion in the Tokyo parks. Since then, in fact, starting on January 26th, this past 2022, this enhancement is now active and will be available through March 31st. So included in the Haunted Mansion version of Disney Story Beyond are augmented reality photo opportunities with classic and new ghosts in the mansion. They've also implemented what's called Nazotoki, which is a popular mystery-solving program in Japan, allowing guests to solve a few hidden mysteries within the attraction. And, of course, Disney Story Beyond specialty merch will be available in the parks. So if you aren't able to attend the park, fans can also take part through a fan art event where you can submit original fan art depicting the newest Haunted Mansion residents. If selected, your art might be posted on the Tokyo Disney website and on their Instagram feed. Some art has already been posted, and it is absolutely incredible. To learn more or to submit your art, head on over to tokyodisneyresort.jp and search for Disney Story Beyond.
Did you say .jt?
Not JT, JP.
Little did our Tweedles know that I host Tokyo Disney Resort
Yes.
website services.
Yes. In both Japanese and English.
Yes,
so
yes.
Well done to you.
Maybe that special merch will be the first merch they can test this new rule on.
Ooh, I like it.
Or there's going to be a different story time if it doesn't work.
That's right. No more stories for you.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Patrick, the way of water apparently leads straight to the bank. Because as we head into 2023, Avatar: The Way of Water has crossed $1 billion worldwide this week, the week between Christmas and New Year's. That makes it one of just 6 films ever to hit the $1 billion mark in the first 2 weeks of its release. And at $1.03 billion, it is 2022's second highest grossing film and the third highest grossing film of the 2020s so far. Just in the US, I believe, its total so far is $317 million, with the potential to cross $400 million by the end of New Year's weekend. And that's even with the crazy winter storm that we had over Christmas weekend, and Christmas Eve being on a Saturday and not being a big, go to the movies day. So I think that's like really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time will tell if The Way of Water will reach the heights of James Cameron's other last 2 films that also conquered the box office, Titanic and Avatar, which I believe are currently the number 1 and 2 highest grossing films of all time.
Sounds right.
Yes.
Sounds about right.
Yes. Do you know what the third highest grossing film of all time is?
Oh, good question.
Domestically, at least.
Domestically, the third highest grossing film of all time was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Correct. No. You were so close. It's Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yes. Patrick, have you seen Avatar: The Way of Water?
I did. I saw it the day after Christmas, I believe. Yeah. And you saw it just recently as well,
I saw
right?
it just Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
Yes.
We will do
will.
a review of this movie at some point. But just quick, briefly, initial thoughts on it?
Yeah, initial thoughts. You know what? I saw Avatar once in the theater back in 2009 when it came out, and I thought it was fine. Yeah. I mean, it's gorgeous to look at. I wasn't incredibly invested. I love Pandora. I actually probably enjoy being in Pandora more than actually watching Avatar. And I felt very similarly about Avatar 2. Gorgeous to look at. Still don't feel super connected to the characters.
Sure.
It's very long. It could have been much like the first one. We could have done about 30 to 45 minutes less.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'll just say really quickly that I didn't love was the higher frame rate that kind of makes it look like a soap opera. Was kind of distracting for me, but
Fair.
Very well done. I mean, just gorgeous visuals. Some initial thoughts from you on it?
Yeah, kind of all that as well. Is it worth seeing? Absolutely. Go see it and go see it in the theater. I'm not usually a big fan of 3D movies, but this was impeccable 3D. I don't know if you can call it animation. This impeccable 3D is what it is. Very seamless. It's, you're not going to get dizzy watching it or anything. It's really beautiful. I'm just not a big fan of, and I hate saying this because I don't know him personally, but James Cameron kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. Like, his arrogance knows no bounds.
He's the king of the world.
He is the king of the world. But, joke's on me because he has 3 of the highest grossing films of all time. So I guess he's doing something right. So go see it. I do endorse the movie. It does what it needs to do. That's
and if it was good enough for Kate Winslet, it's good enough for me.
If she's willing to come back and work with him again, then there you go.
In a water tank, no less.
In a water tank again. Well, speaking of movies, JT, each year, 25 films are added to the National Film Registry that the Library of Congress has deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically important. This year alone, more than 6,865 titles were submitted for consideration. This year, among the 25 films selected were The Little Mermaid and Iron Man. The Little Mermaid was selected for its significance in kicking off Disney's renaissance of animated musical films. Always ready and available, Jodie Benson said in a recent interview, "I'm thrilled and honored on behalf of my character and the Walt Disney Company for the library selecting our very special film." Iron Man was selected for a very similar reason in its launching what we now know as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which, since Iron Man's release in 2008, now encompasses 30 feature films. Jodie Benson was also available to comment. I'm just kidding. She was not commenting on Iron Man. But historically, 22 Disney films have previously been added to the National Film Registry, including Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Beauty and the Beast, Mary Poppins, Return of the Jedi, and Wall-E. A few of the films added this year alongside The Little Mermaid and Iron Man are When Harry Met Sally, Carrie, Hairspray, and House Party, interestingly.
Which Hairspray, Patrick? The original John Waters movie or the Zac Efron, Michelle Pfeiffer starring?
Good question. The John Waters version, of course, was added.
That's fair.
That tracks a little bit more.
Is there a ceremony for this? Or are they just inducted? Well, Jodie Benson would have been there singing if there had been.
She would have been singing. We would have seen all about it on Instagram.
We do love her.
She's never coming on the show. I want to get her so bad, but if she can't. She'll listen to these episodes.
But she's available.
Who am I kidding? She is available, however. JT, a new year is upon us.
It's a new dawn. It's a new day. Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling all right. You know,
Okay.
I'm feeling hopeful, I think, maybe. Yeah.
Moderately inspired.
Moderately inspired, moderately intoxicated, you know, just as per usual. As per usual. But with the new year, you and I were talking about this episode, and we circled around. We just couldn't get past it, of just sort of doing like a year-end roundup of what was last year, sort of a what's happening right now. And then we thought we'd throw in there, what are we hopeful for in the future for Disney? And so we're sort of calling this like the ghosts of Disney past, present, and future, I guess.
Yeah, ooh, I like it.
So we're just going to have a casual discussion about, again, like I said, 2022, our thoughts, our recap of that year, what we're excited about that's coming this year, what's happening right now, maybe even a little bit into 2024, and then just sort of, what do we wish? What's our wish, our Disney wish for the new decade or so when it comes to Disney, or even
I wish. Sorry, I had to throw an Into the Woods reference because it's required now in every Gays Do the D episode.
I thought you were going to say wishes for Disney.
That's what wishes.
Bring back wishes. Maybe that's my hope for the new year.
Let's be realistic.
Let's be real. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Although these days, who knows what nighttime spectaculars around the corner?
Who can say?
Who can even say? Well, what do you say? Should we just get into it and start talking?
Let's dive in. Gather around, children.
Let's give him something to talk about, shall we?
Well, maybe we could start off with just kind of talking about the past year a little bit.
Absolutely.
And what impressed us, what inspired us about Disney in the past year.
Yeah. I guess I can go first, right?
Yeah,
Unless you have something
sure.
right
No,
off the top of it.
No, go for it.
I think, to me, I feel like, and you know, if you looked at the last episode, I already did my sort of my top 5 things that happened in 2022. But just generally, I feel like 2022 was a very diverse year for Disney, which was pretty exciting to see. Just across the board, though, too, with representation in film and TV, with Ms. Marvel, Turning Red, Better Nate Than Ever, you know, Wakanda Forever, obviously. And even in the parks, though, with characters returning, including new ones like Mirabelle from Encanto, the Pride Parade, the Pride celebration. I wish it was a Pride Parade, but Pride
Patrick, every time that you and I are walking down Main Street, it's a Pride Parade.
It's a Pride Parade, absolutely. But the Pride representation within the parks this year was a little bit bigger than it had been. We're getting closer to a full-on, Pride Parade, you know, including Nina West in a lot of the TV specials, and the events in D23 was pretty amazing. So I feel like across the board, though there were some missteps, obviously, and we can talk about that in a little bit, it was a very inclusive and diverse year for Disney, which was great to see.
I agree 100%, because I was actually thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking like, what? Because I don't think, 2022, I think that's probably the best thing about Disney from 2022. I think in a lot of respects, I don't think anybody's going to look back on 2022 as a particularly banner year for from like a creativity perspective or from like a fan perspective. But when I was thinking about what did I love from this year, and I was like, well, it in my head, it literally was, it was things like Turning Red, and Better Nate Than Ever, and, you know, Wakanda Forever, and these things, and really that is a great common thread, is that they were all, you know, expanding Disney's representation, you know, of different groups of people and communities. And I think that's what was so, apart from those being great on their own creatively, you know, that was kind of a common thread among all of those things. And one of the great things about those particular movies or TV shows or what have you.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that. Yeah, I totally agree with you in the creative department. Where was this a year of my favorite Disney movies? And in no way. Absolutely not. There were some great ones. There were some gems within there. The ones that we just listed were great, but it wasn't like an explosive year for Disney movies this year. You know, Wakanda Forever, it was a huge movie, absolutely. Was it my favorite Marvel movie? No, it wasn't. But it was a great movie. So, but yeah, like you said, the common thread of all of the movies that came out was there was a lot of diversity and inclusivity involved, and even the storylines were getting a little bit, you know, like this is where the future is, and Disney's on board with it. It seems, anyways.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I think the other highlight for me that was, you know, inspiring for 2022, and just, in general, and I know you and Kale expressed this on the last episode, but I have to throw in my my 2 cents too.
Yeah, of course.
It's just, you know, being part of this podcast, and truly, like, it was such a highlight for me of the year. And, you know, this is such a great community that we have, you know, with this podcast, and it's been so great to, you know, get to know, you know, you and I were already friends, but even getting to know you even better, and getting to, you know Kale better and Ryan better, and and some of our other Tweedles. And it's been such a blessing. And, for me, that kind of, it didn't have to be a great Disney fan year for me because, this being part of this community was just a really special part of the year,
That's great.
So
yeah, that's lovely. I love to hear that. And, and I think it's interesting that we sort of did as Disney is kind of doing this year in 2022. It was just sort of, it was like a turning table kind of a year for us where, we had to make some pivots and some changes and they turned out to be great. And hopefully we're learning and growing. And so we want to, as Disney is exploring right now, get more diverse with our storytelling and bring in more inclusive stories. So hopefully we'll bring that in 2023, and hopefully Disney has more to come in 2023 as well.
We should have sent an email, Patrick, to all of our Tweedles like Bob Iger did and said, it's never been a better time to be a GDTD fan.
It's true. We're busy. We're busy. Though.
Yeah.
We don't have to just kidding. We love all of you. Consider this our letter to you. Thank you for being a part of us. Well, what about some maybe some missteps or things that could have been improved in 2022?
I think two of the big things for me, and I think just from, and I think this is going to kind of self-correct itself, but like one of the things is I think, I don't think, and I don't want to beat up on Bob Chapek and I know this is, we've talked about Bob Chapek already on this podcast, but I mean, he was not really very connected to the Disney legacy or Disney fans. And I think that really showed. I think that was a misstep in 2022.
Yeah.
I think the way the company, and we've talked about this on the show, the way the company reacted to some of the unfortunate goings on from the governor of Florida and the things that were happening in Florida and the Don't Say Gay bill and just sort of the missteps there. And just, and like we were saying, like it maybe wasn't the best year to be a Disney fan in 2022. I think just some of that is sort of a general broad misstep, I guess. I think from a creative perspective, I think Marvel is, and this is maybe a hot take, I think Marvel is a little bit in a rut right now. I think Phase 4, which ended with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, I don't think anybody would say that Phase 4 was like a stellar cycle of the MCU. Yeah. And a lot of, there was a lot of Phase 4 that happened in 2022. I think Black Panther, Wakanda Forever was probably, for me, the best part of that phase. And it was the last, thing to come in that phase. But I think Marvel, I don't know if they need a little bit of like a reset. It almost feels like there's so much content. Like I can't keep up.
Yeah.
There's so much that I can't keep up. I mean, I have still not seen Ms. Marvel. I have not seen all of Moon Knight. I have not seen, it's just, there's just so much content. And I don't know if people are, if it's less special now when there's like a new Marvel thing that comes out, or if people are just burnt out on it. And I kind of feel the same way a little bit with the Star Wars world. Again, like, a lot of content, I think there were maybe a couple of missteps with some of the content there over the last few years. So I think, I don't know if they need a little bit of like a reboot or like a, just kind of a restart, maybe just like a little crank the lever a little bit to like kickstart it again. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I agree. So here, I'll attack it from the first thing that you said and going, not attack it, but I mean, no, but I'll approach it from the first. So I 100% agree that it was not the best year to be a Disney fan. Not that we didn't show our love and appreciation, but I think it was that we just didn't get that reciprocation back from Disney this year. In fact, we were called things like unfavorables, and there were benefits that were cut to pass holders and D23 members, and obviously we don't have to go into it, but the non-response to the Don't Say Gay bill for a while. There was just a lot of PR missteps that happened. I mean, saying that increasing the value of food but lowering the amount of food you get is beneficial because we'll eat less was like, maybe should we have said that, Disney? I don't really know. Got a little fast and loose there with the tongue, but so I'll agree. Yeah, there are some patches in the street that need to be laid down. But we'll see what happens next. For Marvel, I totally agree. I think we're getting oversaturated. I've said this before. I feel like Phase 4 is sort of like the angsty teen phase where it's just like, you just kind of got to get through it so we can get to Phase 5, which I have high hopes for. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I felt that way about Star Wars about a year or so ago, in that it was just too much too fast and nothing was special anymore. Mm-hmm. And I do think that Star Wars is pumping the brakes a little bit, or at least it seems as though. So hopefully that continues, of like, just wait until you have something really good and then give it to us. Don't throw stuff at us that's half-baked a little bit. So we'll see. I think we're in lockstep on some of the missteps of 2022, or things that we just didn't appreciate as much for 2022.
Yeah, and I mean, in all fairness, like, I know Andor is getting a lot of great reviews and buzz, and I have not seen it yet. So that may be the reboot that I am wishing for may already be existing, and I just don't know.
I think we're on the same page, and I think a lot of Tweedles probably are joining us on this. In that, like I just said, like, there's just so much out there right now, and like, who are we to complain about too much content? Because that's what we demanded 2 or 3 years ago, is more content. But I think Disney overcompensated and gave us way too much that you just can't keep up with it all, and none of it's special anymore. It's all like, you almost watch it so you can get through it, as opposed to watching it to appreciate it right now.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll see. But, was it the worst year in the world for Disney? No. But was it a banner year? It didn't feel like it necessarily.
Also,
when
no.
When it comes to Disney. Also, no. All right. Well, let's move on to the Ghost of Disney Present then, and talk about what is happening right now in the parks, on Disney Plus, in the theaters, and wherever, whatever Disney means to you, right here, right now, and maybe going into 2023 and a little bit beyond. What are you excited about? What are you nervous about? What's on your mind for the present?
I think there are some great things going on. I think, there's more and more things coming back to the parks, like Fantasmic just recently, reopened, which is great news.
Yeah.
I think, it sounds like we're going to have Happily Ever After maybe back soon. At the parks. I think that's really exciting. I think, marathon weekends being back, and we've got the Arts Festival at Epcot coming up, which is my favorite Epcot festival.
Yeah.
So I think that's really exciting. I think, on the streaming, on the movie front, we already mentioned it. I think Phase 5 of Marvel kicks off in February with Ant-Man and the Wasp. I can never get this. It's like, it's not Quadrophenia. That's like totally something different. It's Quantum Mania.
Yes, Quantum Mania.
Yes. And I mean, just, even seeing the trailer for that and for the new Guardians movie before Avatar, I think Phase 5 has a lot of potential. We mentioned Andor with Star Wars. That is getting a lot of great, reviews and feedback. And that's currently something that's, streaming right now on Disney Plus. And, I'm excited to dive into that and see, what that's all about. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot to look forward to in 2023. I think there's some we've got a new Indiana Jones movie coming. And I believe, and this is the first one, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first one that's not directed by Spielberg, right? Isn't it directed by James Mangold?
I can't confirm that, but I think it sounds correct, but I don't quite know.
So we've got that to look forward to. I'm actually really cautiously optimistic about the Peter Pan and Wendy film.
Me too.
Mainly because the director, David Lowery, was he's the guy who directed the live action, the remake of Pete's Dragon, which I actually thought was really quite good.
Yeah.
And one of the few really good of these live action reboots. And so I'm very optimistic about that. Jude Law is playing Captain Hook.
Yeah, he is.
And I know I'm going to be confused. Actually, I'm not going to be confused. I know exactly where I'm going to land with Jude Law playing Captain Hook.
Oh, yeah.
I know exactly what I'm going to feel there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm cautiously optimistic about that. I'm very optimistic about the Disney animated film that's coming out next November, Wish, with the voice talents of Ariana DeBose. Excuse me, Academy Award winner Ariana DeBose. Yes. I think that has the potential to be an absolute crazy smash hit. because
I think so too.
You're
yeah.
going back to like a fairy tale type world, but it's also more. It's not like an actual fairy tale. It's more of an original story.
Yeah.
It's kind of a unique, like, sort of way in. It's the story of the origin of the wishing star. And you've got music by Julia Michaels, who is an amazing pop songwriter. I think that movie just has the potential to be just an absolute like blockbuster.
I totally agree.
You know, I wouldn't even that. I feel like that film has potential to be the next Frozen. There, I said it.
Wow.
There, I said
interesting.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Throwing down the gauntlet. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, we've got Tron opening in 2023, hopefully, allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it's there.
Yeah, it turns out.
Yeah. You know, the railroad just reopened. That's it's a small thing, but that's something that's been closed for like, what, 6 years?
Yeah, I'm very excited to go on that.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot to be excited about. What about you? What are you looking forward to? What are you hopeful about?
Totally agree. I'll start, I guess, with sort of the cinematic world within Disney. I mean, The Little Mermaid is going to be coming out,
yes,
which
yes.
I mean,
How could I forget that?
Cannot wait. And that's what is it, in March? I think it's actually going to happen
May
sooner than we think it is.
May 23rd.
Oh, it's in May. Okay, sorry, my
Or May 20.
heart.
May 20. It's Memorial Day weekend. Whatever
what it
Memorial
is?
Day weekend is. Yeah.
Got it.
Every time I see that trailer, I just get chills.
Yeah. I am very, very excited about that. I'm also kind of, you know, maybe excited about the Haunted Mansion movie that's going to be coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, you know, it's one of those that's going to be hopefully a sort of love letter to the fans of the Haunted Mansion. It has great potential, I guess. I'll say it that way. Wish, I think, is going to be great. Muppets Mayhem is coming out. I think I have high hopes for that. I shouldn't, but I do. I still have high hopes. I have high hopes for the Muppets. They're going to find their groove eventually.
And I hope so.
I think they're getting there. Agatha, Coven of Chaos is coming out. I think that's going to be incredible. The gays are going to lose their mind over that. And I have to say, my gay heart is very excited for the Idina Menzel documentary, Which Way to the Stage, which is going to be coming out pretty soon.
I think it's actually already out, Patrick.
Is it out now?
It is currently streaming on Disney Plus.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought they were waiting until 2023. Well, never mind. Let's stop recording. I'm going to go watch that real quick. And
Y'all have a
we'll
great
see you next year.
2023.
Thanks so much for listening. Bye. So I think it's going to be, it sounds like a huge year cinematically for Disney. So as you said, all of the Marvel things that are coming out, it's actually not a ton of Marvel coming out this year, but it feels like pretty big blockbusters that are coming out this year.
And I think that's smart.
Me too.
I think it's a smart way to recalibrate. I mean, we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, we have Guardians Volume 3, and we have the Marvels coming in July.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that with Agatha Coven of Chaos, that's plenty.
I think that feels right. I feel that it feels like a perfect amount of Marvel coming at you.
Please no more.
Yeah, please let's just keep it kosher with the Marvel. It's going to be great. I'm excited for Disneyland this year. I have to say, I am in love with the fact that they, at least this is what they're saying, that they're going to focus on Disneyland for the Disney 100 celebration, that it's going to really start there, and that's going to be the heart of it. Because I think Disneyland is in dire need of a resurgence. Not that it's not great. It is great. It's just not getting a lot of love. And I think this year they're going to focus a lot on Disneyland, which makes perfect sense with Disney 100 coming out. I'm hoping that celebration is even just 1% better than the 50th anniversary of Disney World, which the bar was very low. Hopefully they can do it.
Anything is an improvement.
Anything's an improvement. Yeah. They're bringing back Magic Happens, that parade, which like maybe 11 people got to see it before it shut down. So that's exciting. I think it's just going to be a really good year for Disneyland. I'm excited for that. Hopefully we can get out there for Pride this year.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really special thing to do. And then also Disney World has a few fun things. Hopefully, you know, Epcot is going to turn into a park that you can use again this year with the walls
dirt.
coming down. Yeah, you know, the Moana Journey of Water is supposedly going to open up. The Figment meet and greet hopefully will be exciting. Apparently we're getting another nighttime spectacular over in Epcot, Tron Light Cycle over in Magic Kingdom. So there's just lots of I wouldn't say lots. There's little things that are going to be big happening in Disney World. And I don't need them to overpromise. I just need them to give us what they've been telling us they're going to give us finally. And I think that'll appease a lot of the angst that we've been going through in 2022. So it should be a good year this year for Disney across the board. It feels like, I don't want to say the word simplistic, but it feels focused this year, which seems nice.
It does. It almost feels like they're real time learning some lessons from the past year or two, maybe, and like honing in on what they really need to hone in on.
Yeah.
Quality
I'd
over
agree.
Quantity.
I totally agree with that. A lot of people came out of D23 saying, well, they didn't give us anything. It's like, did you not listen? They gave us a lot.
Yeah.
And
They give it to you every ball.
They bring it to you every ball, but they didn't oversell it and they didn't overpromise things, because that was where they made a mistake in 2019 at D23.
Yes.
And not that they did it on purpose, obviously. They didn't create COVID, although who knows. But they did promise a lot of things that seemed, even at the time, it did seem overly ambitious. It was like, are you sure you're going to get all that done in 2 years? Because
we were doing everything. We were going to put Disney stores inside of Targets, and we were going to do this and that. It was like, are you really going to do all this? Yeah.
Yeah. And turns out they didn't. Maybe they could have, who knows, but that's not where we're living now. And so this year it seemed like they learned their lesson and said, here, we're going to give you some very special gems and some hopes of what we want to do if all goes well. And I think that's the responsible way to present it. So
yes, I agree.
Hopefully, and let's not forget, Iger's return is pretty great, and so I have a lot to look for. We have a lot to look forward to. What does that mean for the direction that Disney might take? Who can say? Remains to be seen. And let's not forget, I have to believe that they're going to be announcing the new CEO this year in 2023, because they will start taking over Iger's position in 2024. So, stay tuned, everybody. That's going to be huge news to see who they select.
And I think we also have to be realistic in that a lot of the behind the scenes changes that we might want to see in terms of parks changes to pricing and things that annual pass holders get or don't get and yada yada. I think we'll have to be a little bit patient because some of that stuff takes some time.
Yes,
and
of course.
Iger is kind of having to turn the ship around a little bit in some of those respects, and that takes a little bit of time. So I think we all have to be patient too.
Well, and let's not pretend like we're still in a staffing shortage across the country for a lot of places, and that includes a lot of the entertainment and the actors and all the people it takes to do all the things that all the fans want. And you should want stuff, but like you said, be patient. It'll happen, and realize that Disney is magical, but they can't create actual magic and clone people to be entertained. If you want it, do you want it done now, or do you want it done right?
Dad is back in the pilot seat, but it's going to take a minute.
And he will turn the car around.
He will
if you're
turn
not.
this car right around.
Very much that. Oh, I love it. All right, so it's time to look forward, I guess, and look into her crystal ball, and ask Madame Leota, the ghost of Disney future, what's to come? What do you think? What do you want? What do you hope? What are you afraid of? Maybe what's on your mind for the future of Disney?
The future, and are we talking about just 2023 or the future in general?
I think in general,
Okay.
I think, we know what's on the horizon for 2023, 2024, even a little bit beyond. We talked a little bit about it. There are some things maybe coming, but I think, I wonder, instead of commenting on things that we don't actually know to be fact, what do you hope? What are your hopes and dreams for what's to come, even just this year and beyond in the future?
Well, I hope they continue down their path of inclusivity and expanding representation for different communities. I think that's been obviously we've talked about that's been a great thing that they've done much better at in the last year or two, and I hope that continues, and I think it will. I believe it will. I think there's even better chance of it now with Iger back in the captain seat. So that's a big hope.
Now I think we're done. I think we're good. I think we may. I'm just kidding. No. Can you imagine if I was like, let's pump the brakes on representation.
No, I think we're good.
We're good here.
Let's rein it in.
No, I think we still need a jacket here when it comes to representation.
I think we need a jacket here. I also think, I hope that they continue. I hope also with I think what Iger was so good about, and I don't keep meaning to like lay everything at his doorstep, but I think one of the things that he was so great about was he was so connected to the creativity and to like the content and to what was being put out, and he was very passionate about that. And so I guess my hope is that Disney continues to be original and creative and continue to put out the things that we've come to love so much. Whether it's stuff from 20, 30 years ago or stuff in the last like 5 or 6 years, things like Coco and Encanto and Luca and these movies and shows and things that are so beloved, and they're beloved because they're such high quality and they're so creative. And so I hope they continue to like hone in on what they're really good at. And it's the quality over quantity. I'd rather, 2 incredibly amazing movies a year than 10 ho-hum so-so movies, where I'm like, okay, I like that. I'm glad I saw it, but I'll never watch it again. Yeah. I'd rather have 2 things that I just absolutely love that I just can't get enough of,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Patrick?
Yeah. That just inspired me. It was not on my list, but what you just said inspired me to put on my list. I really hope they focus more because, as you said, Disney is always best when they let the artists lead and let the art be the art. I think that's what creates these Disney classics that we know and love. When we think of the Disney Renaissance, those are the most beloved movies of all time that people go back to over and over again. There hasn't been a lot of movies like that lately where I go, yeah, that's gonna be my go-to at least twice a year and watch it over and over again. And so I hope we get back into that. And I know the artists are hungry for it. And when art leads, the world is just a better place to be in. I fully believe that, And so I hope that they just lead with creativity more and more. I know that it's a company and a business, and they need to consider dollars, obviously, but those dollars will come when you give people something to be hungry for and something to desire. So that's what I hope. And with that, I also hope, and I think we're seeing it now, we just talked about it with what's happening in the present, just more simplicity and more focus. I think it's just been so chaotic lately, and you just don't know which way to look sometimes. And I'm just speaking specifically within the cinematic universe and on Disney Plus, that oversaturation can create boredom for me. And I hope that they just sort of pull the reins back and go, okay, what do we actually want to stand for? And what do we actually want to do? Let's do that. And let's do that well, as opposed to let's do a couple of things really well, is what I mean to say, instead of 100 things mediocre.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's my hope for when it comes to cinema. And yeah, absolutely, more and better representation. Just keep going. Stop walking and start running, though, I would say with that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
What else? Anything else on your list there?
I think, from a parks perspective, I think, I hope that Disney, the thing that made Disney parks what they were and such a sought after destination and why they're so beloved is really because of the way guests were treated and the way that Disney looked at guests as a whole. And the way guests were treated collectively and individually. And I think we've kind of gotten away from that in the last few years. There seems to be like less and less value for what for the money that you're spending more and getting less at the parks.
It seems, yeah.
And so I think, getting back to what it really meant to be a Disney park guest, I'm going back to like, the 80s and 90s, even in the 2000s, and I think that's the idea that a lot of people have in their heads about what makes it so special. And I think getting back to that a little bit and really making that guest experience more special again. Not trying, and I think that comes with just with the value that they're providing. The way they're treating groups like annual pass holders, or what they're providing and not providing, and that kind of thing. Does that make sense? Like maybe
100%.
taking less stuff away and maybe adding some things back.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page here, and I think maybe this is what you're getting at. And correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me to get out of town, but I kind of yearn for, and I love change, but I also yearn for the days where you can expect this magic to happen when you go to a Disney park, and it's kind of always there, and it's easy. Right? It's
Yes.
not, you don't have to like go through 8,000 different hoops to get to one magical moment. You know what I
don't
mean?
need a graduate degree in travel studies.
It's a little absurd. And that's what I mean about the simplicity of it all. Like, just pare it back down to the basics of what am I actually here for in the parks? And is it accessible for everybody? And if there's too much going on, then there's it's not magical enough. Like, there's just, if the magic is spread too thin, then you don't really see it. But when you bake in sort of these expectations within the park, and when I say expectations, I don't mean like, if it's not this way, I'm leaving.
Right.
I mean, like, just make it feel like home again, because lately it hasn't felt that way, you know?
You shouldn't feel anxiety on vacation.
Yeah.
And there's so many instances and so many opportunities with how things are today, with what you have to do before you go on vacation, what you have to do while you're there, that are just like anxiety magnets, you know,
Yes.
for so many people. And, you know, and you can see, you just, you know, it's like there's this mentality that's been created, whereas if you don't get to do this, and this, your vacation is a failure, and your day is a failure. And it's really not, because that's not really that's not really why you're there.
Right.
You know, is to do any specific one thing. But I think, you know, it shouldn't be anxiety causing.
No. And I like I said, I love change, and I like when Disney does make changes, but I don't like change for the sake of change.
Right.
And it almost felt like that's what Disney was doing for a little bit these past couple of years, of like just making all of these updates and changes and to see if they can get the guest experience better. And it just made people more anxiety ridden and made people even more angry. And so keep the changes coming, but make them, I don't know,
Constructive changes,
thoughtful changes.
Yeah.
And I don't even mind the price tag so much, and people are going to come for me when I say this, but I really don't mind the price tag if it's going to guarantee that I'm not going to be anxiety ridden.
Exactly. Like, I know what you're saying.
If it doesn't come with all of these other things that I have to do, it's like, I already paid the money. I shouldn't have to do the work to make my day magical. Like, let's just let it happen. And so with all of these, waking up at 5 a.m. to get a Genie Plus, or to maybe get on a ride, that shouldn't be the way. So I hope Disney figures out a way to just bring back that ease. Not that it was always easy to go, like, you know, there's a certain chaos that comes with going to a Disney park, but that's part of the magic, I feel like. But when you're stuck in your phone all day long instead of enjoying the parks, that's when it's not magical anymore. Then it's more instructional.
Agreed.
And so hopefully they find a way to balance that out. And I'm not reading Disney or coming for Disney, but I think hopefully our Tweedles know where we're coming from when we say that.
Yeah, come on, Daddy, tomorrow. Let's get it.
It comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of nostalgia.
Of course
like
it does.
we just sort of missed the old days when it was just, you could expect that to happen. You could expect the magic to happen, and it would, and it still does. It's just very technical now.
Yeah.
So
And you know
Anyways.
what? Can I just say, like, I know, and planning is part of the fun. Like, I enjoy planning out a trip, and I enjoy planning my day and all that. But I just, you know, I'm not telling anybody what to do. But I would say, if you're someone who is sort of susceptible, like I can be, with this anxiety of like, if I don't get to do this, or it's like I feel like I have to like have all these ducks in a row to be able to go, you know. I would encourage you just to try one day, just like not having a plan. If you're going to be in the parks, just like go to the park you're going to go to that day. I know you have to make the park reservation, so you do have to do something there. But just go. And just let the day take you.
I love when that happens.
Where it's going to take you. My most favorite experiences in Disney parks are when I don't exactly know. Either I don't exactly know what's going to happen that day, and I just let the day take me, you know, where it's going to take me. And it always takes me somewhere good, you know. And sometimes when plans get foiled, 9 times out of 10, it's going to take me to it's going to take me to a better place than I was going to get at on my own. Anyway.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, I've met some amazing people that way, you know, and just kind of like letting it happen and just experiencing that. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. I think I guess I can distill it down to this. The last time I went to Disneyland very recently. You were there as well.
I was.
I really loved it because, like, there was no, at least I didn't see or much construction happening. There was no like, wait for it, pardon our pixie dust. Da, 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 da.
Right.
It was just the park was the park, right? And we just let the park be the park, and we enjoyed the park for what it was.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that in Disney World for 10 years, where like all 4 parks were just breathing and operating as the parks. Like, please tear down those walls, Mr. Iger, because Epcot like needs to be Epcot for a while. And I would be okay with a good 5-year span. I'll even say 3-year span of just let all these changes be completed and let it breathe for a little bit and see what happens. Because I think with all of these changes coming, and if there's a new change every day, it's just so chaotic, and you want to see the newest thing and and then you don't get a chance to really appreciate the beauty of the parks, because they are beautiful, and it is a wonderful vacation if you just let it be. So that's my hope.
And that also helps it makes it easier to enjoy the people that you're with, right? When you're not so focused on, you know, that other like logistical stuff, and you can just like enjoy, because that, to me, that's like the most fun, is like the people that you're with in the park, and what like you know, and what you're experiencing together, and you know. I mean, my favorite times of our Disneyland trip were just the times that we were all hanging out as a group, and it didn't really matter what we were doing.
Just doing whatever.
Just doing whatever.
Happened.
You know?
And that's what I feel like when New Fantasyland opened in Disney World, what like 8, 9, 10 years ago, I can't remember. There was that magical moment for a couple of years where everything was just what it was, and it, you know, they were building a couple of things off in the background, but it didn't affect the park necessarily, and it was really a beautiful time. And I wish, I guess I'll just say it again, like, just let the parks be the parks for a little bit. And I think then you can take a step back and look at it and go, okay, cool. Now what? Now how can we plus it? But I don't think we need, in my opinion, something extravagant every single year. And that's just, I don't know. Maybe people will disagree with me, but that's how I feel about it.
I think that creates unrealistic expectations anyway.
I think so too. And then you get people mad at D23 when you didn't announce that we're building 8 new parks. It's like, well, you can't do that every year.
Do you want your ticket to be $500 a day?
Exactly. Very that.
Well, Patrick, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So we've talked about our wishes and hopes for the company.
Yeah.
What are your hopes and wishes for the future for Gays Do the D?
Jody Benson.
She's available and ready.
No, you know, that's a good question. It's funny that you asked that, because I was thinking about it just today. Sorry, the dogs are running around upstairs if you can hear them. So I think I would really love us to engage more with the Tweedles somehow on Gays of the D. I want to have more, and who knows if we can make it happen, but more of our Tweedles on the show to do more Walt Quizneys, or to just do casual interviews and maybe talk to some people in the parks and get more interviews there live from the parks. I think would be really fun. Just getting a little bit more grassroots with it all, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I love that. You know, I know just off the top of my head, I'm thinking like, you know, we all have, you know, shared our sort of Diz stories on the pod. It'd be interesting to hear the Diz stories of some of our Tweedles.
I love that idea. Yeah, absolutely. So more to come on that for sure. And it's something very attainable that we can do as well. And on the flip side of that, it would be great to get some, you know, it would be great to get a Jody Benson on the podcast, because I think people would love to hear from her. And obviously a lot more people who are in the queer community as guests. They're out there, but we need to get them on the show to talk about their experiences. What about you? What about your hopes and dreams?
Yeah, no, I think similarly, like connecting with our Tweedles more. I think that's like, top of the list. I agree. Jodie Benson would be wonderful, wonderful. It would be great to get, an Imagineer on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think of somebody like Zach Ridley, who is, a queer Imagineer. Oh, that rhymes.
A queer engineer.
A queer engineer. I think that would be fascinating to hear some of his story and his experiences, or I think more stuff for our Patreons, which we've talked about,
Yes.
already. I think meeting more of our Tweedles in the parks as that can happen. I look forward to, hopefully, we can have another, I know we had that event for Equality Florida for Gay Days. I hope we can do something similarly this year,
love it.
Yeah. And, just selfishly and personally with our co-hosts, I mean, we will make a GDTD retreat happen in 2023, right?
We will make it happen. We have to get our scheduling calendar under control first for even doing the episodes. But then,
well, that is important.
Once that's under lock, then we can expand to a retreat.
And our calendars are advanced calculus.
It's the worst spreadsheet I've ever created in my life, but it works for us. I love that.
Gosh.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think there's a lot of potential for Gays Do the D. So hopefully we can manifest that, and let us know, Tweedles. What do you want to see for the podcast? I guess this is as good a time as any to sort of wrap up this segment and do a call out to the Tweedles.
Yeah, a call to action.
Thoughts? A call to action. What are your thoughts for Disney? What do you want to see Disney do? What are you excited about? And what do you want Gays Do the D to do? What can we do for you? What are you hoping to see more of, less of? A brand new segment? How do you want us to reach out to you?
Do you want more Patrick? Do you want less Patrick?
I mean, we all know the answer.
What are your hopes and dreams for Patrick and his life?
Find an additional editor so we can take a break and maybe not be on it so much. That would be great. That's my gift to all of you, is less Patrick on the show.
No, that is not a gift. That is coal in our stocking.
Oh, well, the eyes of the beholder, I guess. Well, you can certainly reach out to us with all of that on any of the social platforms at GDTD Podcast, or send us those voice memos. We haven't had one in a while, or an email to info@gaysdothed.com.
We want to hear from you.
We do indeed. I just want backup, I think, on less Patrick, more JT, more Ryan, more Kale.
Confirmation and validation.
Confirm my suspicions for 2023.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, JT.
I think we need some quick D here.
I think Tweedles out there, if there's one thing you can be sure of, it's that JT and I will find a way to insert the Devil Wears Prada into almost every conversation.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry about it. It's a classic and it must be treasured.
Oh, goodness. Well, how about some quick D?
How about it? It's quick D time, isn't it?
Yeah, let's. What better way to kick off a new year than some quick D?
I mean, what better way to kick off a Tuesday than some quick
right?
D?
An hour,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The noon hour, and anytime.
I like it. So what are we generally? Quick D is we're asking a question we've not been privy to. Blah blah blah. It's a new year. It's a new quick D, right? Let's get into it. What are we talking about this time on Quick D, Jason?
Well, I think we've resolved, Patrick, to talk about what are our New Year's resolutions.
Ooh, this could be dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Very, very interesting. New Year's resolutions. I often don't make New Year's resolutions. Wow, I can't
even say them.
I can't even say them, let alone make them. I often don't make them because I know that I'm going to fail at them. So why set myself up for immediate failure?
I mean,
but it's nice to dream.
It's nice to dream. It's nice to dream. It's nice to have goals. You know what? Reach for the stars. Am I reaching for the
Reach for the
stars here?
stars.
No.
Am I reaching for the stars? Absolutely not. Okay, great. New Year's resolution. I want to be kicked out of every Disney park around the world in 2023.
I think that is a great goal for you.
Thank you.
love that
Thank you
journey
so
for you.
much.
I love that 2023 journey for you.
Yes.
What park will you start in, and what do you want to finish in?
And why do you want to be kicked out of them would be a great question. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, starting overseas, I think, and then just like coming back home and being kicked out of all the parks.
Domestically, yeah.
Domestically.
Have you thought about what you're going to do to get kicked out? Are you going to switch it up from park to park? Are you going to do the same thing to get kicked out of every park? They'll catch on to you, so you should probably do different things in the different parks.
It'll probably something to do with sexual misconduct,
Right.
probably, I mean,
Yeah.
let's be very clear.
Yeah.
That's probably why they've already got eyes on me every time I'm in the parks already. So
That's why Splash Mountain is closing, ladies and gentlemen. And
I've ruined it for everyone.
you've ruined it for everyone.
Absolutely. What about you? What are your hopes for the new year?
My resolution is to turn Chris Evans into a homosexual and my husband.
Oh, okay, got it. Got you. I think that's attainable.
My goal is to have this happen to where my goal is to make our red carpet debut for the Marvels in July of 2023. So I've got 6 months, which is plenty of time, I think.
That feels right. That feels like a TLC documentary waiting to happen. My 6-month fiance. Absolutely. Follow-up question. Would you consider any of the Chris's, or is it only Chris Evans?
I am open to other Chris's.
You are.
I am
open for applications.
I am literally open to other Chris's.
Great.
Yeah. In ranking order: Evans, Hemsworth,
Yeah.
Pine, and Pratt.
Okay, fair enough. You know what I want more of in 2023 is us like ranking people by their appearance. I think we should do more of that in 2023.
That's a good resolution. Let's resolve to rank everyone we see by their appearance.
100%. Just problematic all the way through. I think 2023
The word of the year is surface.
Surface. We're basic this year. I like it.
Just basic bitches.
Get in the car, loser. We're going shopping.
Getting the car, loser. We're being superficial.
Into it. Welcome to 2023, everybody.
It's really their personalities, though.
Going back to Chris's.
For me, it's
Okay.
really their personalities.
Fair. I didn't know any of them could talk, if I'm being honest.
I mean,
Talking unnecessary. Pulse optional.
Wow, I love our attainable resolutions.
I think we did it. I think we figured it out.
We did it, Joe.
Yeah. We've got a lot of apologies to make already in 2023, starting with this episode.
Just starting the year off with a bang.
We're real sorry about it, everybody. Stick with us, though. More to come.
Right. There's more where that came from.
That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast. Submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See ya real soon.